This is my 50-year-old camera. I keep it in a Pelican case because I love this camera so much. This case, I don't know if you know Pelican cases, but they're indestructible. You can drive over this with a pickup truck, and it's waterproof. It's got a gasket going all the way around, and these are foam inserts that I made myself. Some of the components are in my workshop now, but as you can see, I have some lenses here, and I have the camera. So I've now assembled this camera with one of the lenses. This camera is heavy, it weighs like 5 kilograms. It's made out of metal. And you're looking at the top. There's a whole film module that clips onto the back. It's not shown here currently. This is just a cover. But the thing I love about this camera is the sounds that it makes. Listen to this. What's interesting here is the lens is where you adjust everything on the camera. So this is the aperture adjustment. Here is the time. It goes from 1 second to a 400th of a second. And this is how you focus it. It's a very cool camera. Now here is the camera with the film module attached to the back, and so you advance the film with this lever. You cock the shutter here, and then you take a photo. But what I wanted to show you is this is now ready to take a landscape orientation photo. If you want to take a portrait photo, instead of flipping the whole camera, you can just rotate the back, and now the photo will be vertical. It's very cool. When you take the back off, you will see that this silver metal part here, this is the size of the film negative. Actually, there's this piece of metal slides out, and then you will see the film inside. But I want you to notice how big this piece of film is compared to the cameras we had when we were children. The 35mm camera. If you remember, those little negatives were quite small. You could fit like maybe 6 of those inside this negative here, meaning that this is a professional camera that captures images at very high resolution. You can get a lot of detail because your catchment area is so much bigger. You know, the traditional negatives are only about that big, like one little corner of this area. And you can see that when you compare this to my modern camera. This is my digital camera. It's a Canon. It's a Canon 5D, which is the highest level that Canon makes, the most professional camera made by Canon. And inside here there's a sensor, and you can see the size difference between the sensor of the modern camera and the film area of the old camera. The bigger your sensor, the more detail you can capture. So this should already explain to you that old cameras are actually much better than new cameras in a certain way. Obviously the new cameras are easier to use and you can take more photos, but if you want image quality, the new camera can... My phone keeps on falling over. If you want image quality, nothing compares to the old technology. Now I'm going to show you an even better camera. This is the ultimate camera. Okay, this one is based on ancient technology, and it's not 100 years old, this camera, but the technology of this camera is 100 years old. But this camera was probably made in the 50s. So I'll show you how this works. This is a really good camera, and it flips open. If I can get it to flip open, there we go. It's difficult to do with one hand. Just give me a moment. Okay, I've assembled the camera. So this camera has a huge hole in the front here for the lens. Fuck. Okay, it's difficult with one hand, but anyway, here is one of my lenses that fits onto this camera. This is a very high quality lens. You don't even find lenses of this quality today, because modern lenses, they are all obsessed with being able to zoom a lot and stuff like this. This lens does not zoom. It is a fixed focal length, and it's got very minimal amount of glass in it. There's only like 4 pieces of glass in here, so there's very little distortion, and it creates very high quality images. And this lens, I bought it second hand. It's an old lens, and it cost me about 4,000 Rial, which is a very low price for such a high quality lens. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but it's a very special lens, this. It's got, again, you can adjust the time and the aperture. And actually for this lens, you have to cock this lever to prime the lens. When you open this lever, I'll show you how this works. So to adjust the aperture, you have to move this lever here. So I'll do it now. You can see the blades opening up, and then you have to select the time. So I'm going to put it on, let's see, I'll put it on 1 second, and then I have to close this a bit. Okay, then I have to close the shutter. Then I have to cock the lever, and then I will take a photo. I will release the shutter. Where's that button? Oh, here we go. Now you'll see it take a photo. So that was a 1 second exposure. So yeah, it's all on the lens itself. Inside this ring, there's like little gears and clockwork and stuff to basically like the inside of a clock to measure exactly the time duration. If I make it much faster, let's put it on 125th of a second. I'll cock the lever. Okay, now here we go. 3, 2, you see? Yeah, so now I have fitted the lens onto the front of the camera. And at the back, here is the viewing surface. So I just want to open this up. Okay. So you open up the back here, then you can see the image projected on the glass. It's not easy to see here with one hand and everything, but there's it's also not in focus, but anyway, now you probably don't believe me. Can you see the image? Yeah. Anyway, the reason it's so difficult to see is because there's too much light around me, because the image on the glass is quite faint. That's why you always see people throwing a dark cloth over the back of the camera, and then they pop their head in below the dark cloth. So that's what I normally do. But the important thing I want to show you here is the size of this piece of glass. Here is one piece of film which I've exposed already, so it's like a throwaway piece of film, but this is to show you the size. You see this, the film actually it slides in here, and then you take a photo on this film. But you have to load and unload the film in the dark. Yeah. Now I want to show you again the size comparison. This film is 5 inches by 4 inches. This is a 4 by 5. This is the name of the format. This other camera, it's called a 6 by 7. That's 6 by 7 centimeters. So you can see the difference in the size here. The older camera is much bigger. So now you can imagine how big it is compared to the modern camera with this small sensor. There's no comparison. This old camera, if you take a picture on this piece of film and you scan it at 64,000 dpi, you will end up with a megapixel count of 450 megapixels. Today's best cameras can do 45 megapixel. It's 10 times smaller than this. You can take 450 megapixel with one piece of film using this 100-year-old technology. So there you go. That's how that works.